Hello, today I'll be talking about some bands that I personally dislike. Now, if you're a fan of any of these bands, that's okay, more power to you, but there might be some disagreements that we might encounter through this video, and that's okay. Just feel free to let me know your thoughts on these bands in the comment section below, or some of the bands, or anything like that. But, anyways, let's go ahead and get to this list here. We're going to start off with Simple Plan. And this is going to be in no particular order or anything, but with Simple Plan, I think this band is encompasses everything that makes a pop punk band bad. Just to name a few things, shallow slash whiny lyrics, not bass sounds non-existent, and the riffs and drum work just seems like more of the same, more of things that I've heard a million times. Now, I do like Good Charlotte. Some of you might already know that, but to me, what Good Charlotte has that Simple Plan doesn't have is that Good Charlotte isn't afraid of venturing out into other sounds. I guess in another way of saying it is experimenting. Now, I wouldn't say that Good Charlotte's super experimental or anything, but they did venture out a little bit with their sound, such as on their album Chronicles of Life and Death, or it may be even Generation RX. I mean, it's not too distant from what their usual sound is, but you can tell that they started to experiment a little bit, and also you can tell that Good Charlotte matured over time with each album. Especially with Generation RX, you can tell that they matured with their songwriting, especially with songs like Prayers or maybe even Shadowboxer. But yeah, Simple Plan. Well, the thing I hate the most about this band is probably the nasally vocals. I mean, I just can't get behind those vocals, man, and especially with the way he delivers the lyrics and all that. I just can't get into this band at all. But if you're looking into pop punk, definitely avoid this band and check out Blink 182 or Sum 41 instead. But, anyways, next band we're going to talk about is Nickelback. Now, Nickelback is an easy target when it comes to talking about bands that most people hate and all that, but I think their hate is well deserved, though, in my opinion. Now, I will admit they have like three or four songs that are maybe passable or okay or good or whatever, but um, I do kind of like that one song they have, Feed the Machine. Kind of a guilty pleasure of mine, but I mean, I don't go back to it a lot or anything, but I still think that song is decent. But with this band, it's just cookie cutter, soulless hard rock. And one thing that really irritates me about them, well, I heard about this in a video that was about one of their albums. Can't remember if these words came from Chad Kroger or one of the band members, but I heard that during the making of, I believe, their third album, that they were studying or looking at some of the random radio singles and seeing how they were popular, just to get ideas of how they can make their songs popular too, or something like that, something in that nature. And I remember hearing that and just being like, "Yep, that seems like a very Nickelback thing to do." But yeah, Nickelback, they do have that quintessential bad song. Of course, that song being "Photograph." I mean, if you read those lyrics out loud without the music, there's no way you can tell me that, oh yeah, these lyrics are deep. These lyrics mean something to some. No, that song ain't it, and this band ain't it either. But next band we're gonna talk about is Five Finger Death Punch. Now I know this band does have their fan base and all that, but I also do want to get this out of the way by saying that just because I dislike this band doesn't mean that I disrespect who they support. The reason I'm saying this is because I know that they do support the troops, if I've heard correctly. But, and again, just because I dislike their music doesn't mean that I dislike or disrespect who they support. But the reason why I don't like Five Finger Death Punch is really because of the whole tough guy act and the shallow, corny lyrics, especially with songs like Fake, if I remember the song title correctly, and that chorus is just dumb and petty. At least in my opinion. I mean, maybe they were genuinely angry or whatever. It doesn't matter. It's a bad song. And just in general, most of their lyrics are just just not that great. And now I get it. They do have some songs that you could say are deep, and I do say deep very loosely because that's honestly up for debate. But yeah, Five Finger Death Punch, just not really into the whole tough guy thing and some of their lyrics and all that. But I will admit they do have a good guitar player and a good drummer, but that just doesn't make up for the bad songs, especially from what you heard on albums like Got Your Six, or at least what I've heard from that album. But next we have Crazy Town. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if most of you have never heard of this band, but don't look them up. They did come from that new metal scene, and they were most popular for that song Butterfly. And honestly, everything about them screams flash in the pan. And for those who don't know, they did sample Red Hot Chili Peppers. I can't remember the name of that Red Hot Chili Peppers song, but I do remember seeing an iTunes review. They said, and I don't, who knows how this person grew up or how their childhood was, but they said that who cares that they sampled Red Hot Chili Peppers or stole some music from them. Red Hot Chili Peppers sucks. Crazy Town is better, which is probably one of the most insane things I've ever heard. I mean, Crazy Town comes nowhere near Red Hot Chili Peppers. They don't even touch them. But yeah, Crazy Town, terrible band. They did have that second album, Dark Horse, and I did look into a few songs just out of curiosity, and from what I heard, you can tell that they noticed the popularity of bands like Linkin Park around that time when the album came out, and you can tell they were kind of maybe cashing in that sound, that new metal sound that is hard and has that rapping and stuff like that. But yeah, Crazy Town ain't it. And if you're looking into new metal, I'd suggest starting off with Korn or Slipknot or Linkin Park or maybe Deftones. And yes, Deftones is a new metal band. Get over it. Especially those first two albums for sure. At least in my opinion. But next band we're going to talk about is Hollywood Undead. I will admit there was a time where Hollywood Undead was a band that I used to listen to, and there was even a brief moment where they were even one of my favorite bands. And if I were to pick who was my biggest regret band, it'd probably be Hollywood Undead. I mean, just from what I've heard from their newer stuff, you can tell they haven't matured at all, and especially with that album 5, from what I've heard from that album, it's god awful. But yeah, there's maybe a pinch of nostalgia, maybe here and there, if I listen to a song here and there once in a while. But Hollywood Undead, they're not a good band. There are better bands out there that utilize the whole rap sound and stuff like that. Now, next we have the band Imagine Dragons. Pop rock. Let's just call them a pop band because that's what they truly are. But with this band, I think they're one of the most overproduced bands out there today who are active. I mean, just something about their sound, just, I don't know, it just doesn't cut it for me. Now, I wouldn't say that they're like the worst band of all time or anything, but I mean, their music just, to me, is just annoyingly overproduced. And you have that song Thunder, and if I hear that song again, I don't know what I'll do. But yeah, Imagine Dragons, nah. If you're a fan of them, hey, more power to you. I do kind of understand their appeal, but nah, not for me. But next we have the band Babymetal. Now, this band does have their audience or specific audience, and I'm not a part of it. I really can't get into Babymetal. And sure, there's some decent riffs here and there, but the vocals just really ruin the experience for me. Now, they do have one song called The One that I think is okay. It's passable. It's okay, but I mean, when the singer or singers are just straight up singing and not just doing the whole fast talk thing, I don't mind it as much, but I don't love it, but I don't mind it. It's probably the best way to put it for me. But with Babymetal, I just can't get behind those vocals, and when a song starts playing, I easily get sick of it really quick because, yeah, Babymetal, not for me. If you like them, more power to you. Next, we have the band Theory of a Dead Man. Best way to sum up this band is that they're Nickelback light. They're that one student in the room that copies off of someone else's test, like, and the person who's taking that test and seems to smart and know all the answers is Nickelback. And Theory of a Dead Man is that student that's right behind them, peeking under their arm, trying to look for the answers and stuff like that. But yeah, Theory of a Dead Man, not a good band. I mean, everything about him screams butt rock. Now, finally, the last band on this list here, Papa Roach. Now, there was a time where I was kind of a fan of this band, and the reason I say kinda is because I really only liked one album and a handful of songs, and that's about it. But honestly, after Infest, they started going downhill quick. Now, Love Hate Tragedy might have had 2 or 3 songs that are okay. I mean, She Loves Me Not is a decent song, but and same with Get Away with Murder. There were maybe 2 or 3 songs that are okay, but man, over time they started sounding more and more overproduced. Especially with their latest album or the last couple of albums. I mean, if you've heard their most recent album, I'm definitely sorry for you if it was a struggle to get through, because I did hear it in full too, just out of curiosity. And man, I mean, you can't sit here and tell me that with their when they were going into this recent album, Who You Trust, that after the hearing the whole final product, they were like, yeah, this is really good. This is genuine. This is what the rock world needs. No, no. Who Do You Trust is a terrible album and honestly has some of the worst songwriting that I've heard from them. But yeah, Papa Roach, not a good band, not a good example of good nu metal, I guess. And again, if you're looking into nu metal, start off with Korn or Deftones or Slipknot or Linkin Park. But yeah, Papa Roach ain't it. But anyways, that's my list here. I'm sure there's probably some bands that I forgot, and you feel free to name off some of those if you'd like in the comment section below. But anyways, let me know your thoughts on these bands. Do you love them? Do you hate them? Were there bands that I missed? Do you have any disagreements with me? And if you do, that's okay, and all that good stuff. But anyways, thanks for watching. Please leave a comment and a like. Subscribe. Have a nice day, and take care.